Hello everyone, more FACEIT coverage coming live from Twitch in this time, and it's a banger we've got in store today. It's going to be Spacestation Gaming versus Ataraxia from round 7 of the FACEIT League Masters and EMEA, and this is a huge game. Spacestation currently unbeaten, currently the champions of OWCS Stage 2, and really the team to beat by anyone's standards in EMEA. And they're coming up against Ataraxia, a bit of a new look team who beat ENTS earlier on in the tournament and have really been making a bit of a wave. Current Scrimbucks have them rated super highly as well. So this is an incredibly anticipated match, and I think one that lots of teams are interested to see. Now, a lot of people will be really familiar with SSG. They're the current champs. They've got loads of tools under their belt. They've got the Reinhardt, they've got the Ram, they've got Winston. They've got so many star players. Psycho's been a huge signing for them. They've got Landon, who obviously still does so much. Their backline is probably quite easily the best in EMEA. Maybe, actually, maybe not even maybe. I'd say definitely the best backline in all of Western Overwatch. And it's been a huge boon for them. Obviously, they're going to play Bap and Lucio for the most part, but it's been massive for them. Likewise, we're going to see Spark. I think he's really coming to his own lately. I know Spark's been a good player, an Overwatch League player for a long time, but I feel like recently he's really just become the top dog. I think he's really taken it to a new level, especially when he's been playing the CAS. He's had huge impact in previous series, and I think a big reason why SSG were able to beat ENTS in that grand final was because of Spark. I think he made a lot of plays, but even on Genji he made plays, but especially on the CAS, that's where all the plays really came from. It was a huge problem for ENTS to deal with Spark's flanks, so something Ataraxia will have to be aware of. But obviously Ataraxia, the unique thing about them, and I can bring up their roster as we go into the match page here so we can sort of look and talk about them at the same time. But Ataraxia have two flex supports. They have Gala, they have Kineo. Obviously both good at their roles, but it means Lucio comps are a little bit of a weakness for here at Ataraxia, so we're going to play lots of double flex. And as such, this means SSG are going to have to try and come up with different solutions here. Do they want to die for double flex, or do they want to do something else? Do they want to try and just play a Lucio comp, maybe even put Backbone in, play some of the sim stuff to deal with these flanky competitions? You remember when the old London core played against Toronto when they were playing some similar comps with Majid on Ilari back in Overwatch League Season 6? TP was a lot of the solution that SSG had, so I wonder if we'll see some of that today coming out from Backbone on SSG. But for this Ataraxia roster themselves, I think, again, there's been a lot of star performances. I think the big one to talk about is actually Rajaro, maybe a player people are least familiar with out of everyone on this roster. He comes in and he's been great on the Ramatra. He's really looked for full package, playing a more difficult role, playing Ramatra with no speed versus a Ramatra with speed in a lot of his previous matches. And he's held his own really well. I think he's done his job. And I think he was the biggest question mark on this roster in terms of like individual player quality, but I think he's really looked for parts. So this will certainly be his biggest test so far, and we'll see how he matches up against Hadi and the rest of SSG. Across the rest of the roster, we've got a lot of players you might be more familiar with. I think Sauna's gone through a particularly good spell of form. I think he's looked really good since finally getting a team where he can be a starter consistently on. And we've got to talk about Gala, right? On Ilari, on Kiri, his aim is crazy. He has such a large impact for a team. And I think a lot of what we've seen from Ataraxia is if teams don't find a way to deal with Gala, they have a bad time. They have a really bad time. Now, you can have so much impact if left unchecked, so it's definitely a problem SSG have to respect and be aware of. And if they don't, it's going to cause them big, big problems. Now, the other important thing to talk about is the draft, because so far against ENTS, it feels like Ataraxia were really able to win the draft. They got to go to Busan. And I think if we look at some of Ataraxia's previous matches, even against Super Shy as well, they managed to go to Midtown. A lot of good double flex maps in the pool, so the draft is going to be super interesting. We can watch the draft live, so we can talk about it more as we go. But I think really important for Space Station is they don't make the mistake some other teams have done, where other teams have just picked their normal bans against Ataraxia, and this has allowed Ataraxia to actually get a pretty big influence in the map pool. Maybe one you would want if you get to ban and pick maps. Obviously, Space Station will be the team picking map 1 and map 3, and it'll be map 2 for Ataraxia. So there is an inherent advantage for Space Station in this. What's quite nice where Ataraxia have had the advantage other times is because Hybrid has so many good double flex maps. If you get to pick the double flex map, it's hard to really pick a map that Ataraxia are too bothered by. So if Ataraxia can pick map 1 and 3 and you can only pick the hybrid, it's much worse than in maybe a more normal fixture where you might just be in, say, a Ram Lucio mirror between a lot of these teams. So Space Station needs to make sure they make full use of that advantage and take out some of the key maps for Ataraxia, whether that's Busan, the Hollywood, maybe even Junkertown or Rialto on map 3 as well if we get there. So as we come into this 1 minute, we do have one question, let's see, from I Quack Like Duck about has the new patch impacted the meta? And I think, yeah, to a degree, yes. It's killed Orisa. I think the horse has been put down, sent to the glue factory, and we're now in kind of a bit of a reversion to what it was pre-Orisa, where we see a lot of Ramatra. We're seeing a decent amount of Bat Brig from a lot of teams. Obviously, Ataraxia sort of sit a little bit separate to a lot of these meta conversations because they have the double flex backline, so they lean into a lot of their own compositions. But in general, I think we've just seen a bit of reversion, a lot more Ram, Cass, Bap, Tracer, Lucio really seems to be the standard meta for most of the teams. I'll do a quick prediction. I think I'd say SSG 2-1, which is maybe not a super hot take or anything, but I think Ataraxia will cause them problems, especially depending on what maps they can get to. So we're going to the ban phase here. We'll go to the we're going to start on Control, and obviously for Space Station, they do normally ban either Nepal or Oasis, but I think they'll change it and ban Busan here. Meanwhile, for Ataraxia, they actually normally ban Samoa. They almost always ban Samoa, so I think we're going to get very much a Samoa ban still coming out of Ataraxia. I don't think we'll see too many changes there. Similarly, when we go to... Oh, well, actually, we're starting, so we'll stick with map 1 for now. So, Space Station to ban first. Busan taken straight out. Good choice there. It doesn't fall into the Ent trap. Now, Ataraxia, we expect them to ban Samoa here, and that's their usual ban. Would be surprised if we see anything else. Now, the way these bans will work is once Ataraxia ban, yeah, now it goes for Samoa ban. Space Station will pick, but we don't get to see the map till afterwards. But I would expect Space Station to go to Nepal. That's what they normally pick. Now, Ataraxia banning a map. They normally ban Parisio here. We're going to get the same. Space Station, difficult choice, right? They're going to ban Hollywood. Obviously, Midtown is a very good double flex map as well, but Hollywood has been a particular strong point for Ataraxia. It's where they beat Ents, and it's the one they most often pick. So I think Ataraxia were probably hoping to pick Hollywood. So now a choice between Eichenwald and Midtown. Even though Midtown's a very good double flex, we actually see them pick Hollywood and Ike more often. So possible Ataraxia actually pick Eichenwald here instead of Midtown, but reasonably good options here for Ataraxia. This is what we were talking about before with the hybrid. Now, actually, in fact, almost only good options here. We'll see what they choose to do. Still plenty of time. You saw earlier on, all the bans were quite straightforward. The teams were picking quickly, didn't have to deliberate too much. But now, Ataraxia deliberating a little bit more. Maybe they weren't expecting this Hollywood ban. We'll see what they pick afterwards. We'll go into the third one now. Ataraxia normally ban Shambali. I think they'll stick to that. SSG normally ban Rialto. I think they'll stick to that because obviously Rialto a good double flex map. Ataraxia, you don't want Space Station to have Shambali under any situation, so it really is straightforward. So we're going to get Nepal, Eichenwald, Route 66, and that sound means I've been invited into the lobby. So into the lobby I go, and the good news is I can take everyone with me. We can all go into the lobby as we get into this first fixture. Now, Backbone is starting, so we expect Symmetra. There's a few different ways this Nepal can go. Obviously, on Shrine, double flex is relatively viable. On Sanctum, you can play double flex, but the problem with double flex is if you lose the first fight and you get held at those tight chokes by a Lucio comp, it's so hard to retake on Sanctum for the double flex comp here. So we might either see Gala go Lucio, which he can do. He does have it in his wheelhouse, but it's obviously a weak point for Ataraxia compared to the double flex. Big difference in their ability in that matchup. So I think first fight on Sanctum is going to be crucial because as much as it's difficult for the double flex team to retake into a Lucio comp on Sanctum, it's equally difficult for the Lucio comp to retake into double flex. So first fight going to be pivotal on Sanctum. On Village, I think they might be forced to play Lucio here. So Village, I think, will favor SSG. That'll be the hardest map for sure for Ataraxia. So we'll have to see what they try and do for that. Generally speaking, what Ataraxia will do, if they feel the map just isn't viable for double flex, they will just play Lucio. They're not scared of it necessarily, but obviously you have to understand. For SSG, some kind of Ram Lucio mirror, they will be more than happy to do that. So we'll still wait for the rest of the Ataraxia players to get into the lobby. All quiet in match chat so far. All business. All business. The Symmetra. There's a lot of things you can do with Symmetra when you're playing against a double flex. Now, generally a double flex team likes to play quite wide. So, you know, you have players... Let me get you a more visible color. So you might have players playing left side and right side of a map. What you can do with the Symmetra is you can exploit this split in the formation. Just go TP and punish one side. Can be very effective, can be very hard to deal with. So something that Ataraxia need to be really switched onto. They have to be ready for these TPs. They have to try and anticipate what Backbone wants to do. And likewise, Backbone will be trying to win that mind game as well and do something to catch Ataraxia off guard. Another thing that's quite nice to do with the Sim TPs, now I think we might well see SSG do at certain points, is if the other team's playing quite wide, maybe Gala's playing a difficult off angle, they can just send a bit of a hitman squad. They can send Astro and Backbone just on a 2-man TP to clear out Gala. So a lot of options here for SSG. Now they have to try and find the best version of, and likewise for Ataraxia, they have to anticipate these TPs. If they don't anticipate these TPs, they will get punished by them here. We're going to start on Shrine. This is probably the most even of the maps in terms of the compositions. One thing that we've seen a lot of teams struggle with against Ataraxia is when Ataraxia have these really good setups where they've got Gala on one position, they've got their backline in another position, and maybe even Sauna playing another angle, is teams rush for pushes too much. They don't clear the angles or take time to dislodge Gala from his good position, or Shockwave, or clear Sauna, or whoever's on the angle. They don't take the time to do it, and it causes them big problems when they actually push, because Gala will get loads of value, or Sauna, especially, we've seen getting loads of trades. Twisted Minds had a big problem dealing with Sauna. Vigilante was having a torrid time of it. And here we go. Gala on Lucio. So they might just take the mirror. Backbone on Symmetra. Sauna will be on Tracer, which means Sauna will be relatively unchecked as we go into this first map here. The TP means they get the high ground, or get the point control initially here, SSG. And they'll swing out to Elephant side. Opposite side of the map. Now, Sauna's going to have this free reign that we talked about. It's going to be one TP onto high ground. Backbone is there, but Shockwave wants to clear it. Just force him back, and now SSG are all back at the choke, but Gala's the one who gets caught. Sauna's going to push in for the trade here, but Astro, Backbone, Landon, they're all quick to respond, and they want to chase Sauna all the way out. They'll force him back off that initial pick, and no speed means the rest of them are kind of just stuck in here. Nowhere for them to go. And SSG with a dominant first fight. But Shockwave is behind, and he's actually got a trade. Gala's back. It's not over for SSG yet. Ataraxia are forcing for trades. Gala's going to come back, gets one of them, and SSG are being pulled in all directions. And now all of a sudden, Shockwave has an angle. Kaneo is behind. Pressure onto him, needs to try and kill this Lucio. Will deal with him. TP's back to point as well. And somehow, someway, Ataraxia have scrapped their way out of this. Shockwave played behind. He stayed behind with Kaneo. He gets the kill. Haddy's going to get staggered out as well. And it all falls apart. They get 27% on the point, but the damage is done. And now Kitsune Rush available, and Ataraxia are walking up. We saw them doing this a lot in their previous series, where they will hold really aggressively. It cost them a couple of times, but it also helped them. And oh, Shockwave and Kaneo have gone a different way in the team. They're trying to regroup, but Shockwave's going to get caught, and it's happened again. The aggressive hold has cost Ataraxia. They're forced all the way back to point, but SSG are swarming. Sauna gets a trade, but Kitsune Rush on point will slow them down. Astro gets the beat to help them live. They can't be too aggressive. Now a window back. Haddy is up top on this high ground as well. Annihilation in hand. Rajaro does not have it yet. Rajaro is so low. The beat keeps him alive for now. But Haddy is all over Kaneo with this Annihilation, punching him down. Now the Annihilation is popped. Rajaro is low. Won't get to his own Annihilation. But Shockwave is not done. He wants to win. Haddy is blocking. He's walking on him. But Sauna's done the damage. And Ataraxia, they're scrapping it out. It's messy. It's chaotic. But Ataraxia are coming out on top. They hold on to the point. The flip did not go through, despite getting caught overextended in that forward hold. They're not able to convert the fight, and it cost them so many ults as well. Now look at it. Annihilation advantage for Rajaro. Sim wall for backbone, but Rajara can just walk forward, walk through it here with the Annihilation. Sauna threatening the pulse bomb there, doesn't commit it. He is coming behind again, going to be waiting above him here. Sim TP to rotate. They're going to come elephant side here. Gala's going to have to reposition. They try and catch him. Bit of pressure there. Sim wall to force point in a second. Pulse bomb comes through. The lamp is late. Backbone will fall. Now Rajara pushes with the Annihilation. No chance to use that sim wall. It's the perfect pulse bomb from Sauna. They keep Rajara up. If they can keep him walking forward, he will clean this up. Down goes Hadi. Down goes Sparker. And nobody's touching. Nobody will be touching this. No chance to use the sim wall. They have to just accept it. They have to just accept it. And Ataraxia win the first round. Score 0. Not the result everyone expected. In a Lucio mirror as well. In a Lucio mirror. Shockwave reminding everyone they're going to spawn with wall this round. Trying to get in the head. Backbone. Happy to confirm it's funny. Hadi begging everyone to be nice. Why can't we be friends? No friends for the next hour. Shockwave wants to get it started.
4, 3,
Need to be careful not to celebrate too soon here, Ataraxia.
round 2. Capture the objective.
And they'll be quicker to mid here as well. Backbone still on the sim. Early space, and Rajara is going to be forced back. Lost that HP trade early. They're split as well. Gala's in a slightly different position, but they've lost Landon in the back. Can they kill Kanale? Kanale's super low. They TP. They want to keep committing. They want to go round this corner. They go round this corner. They have no BAP heals, but they've got the kills. And this is one of the problems Twisted Minds have. Sauna are able to find this timing onto the Baptiste from behind. But the trade doesn't matter. SSG make a good decision. They keep pushing even though they've lost their BAP because they realise they have to win the fight quickly. No sustained healing. And they get in that first fight. It's going to be very slow window charge for Landon thanks to that defo. And Sauna Gala are forcing point already. Remember, with no Tracer of their own, SSG do have a little bit of a problem to solve, and it'll be Astro taking over the point. But that opens up Sauna to push Landon. He's forced to shift out. Wants to go again. Gala and Sauna still lurking around point. Sparker wants to push him. He's a little bit low. Has to be careful here, Sparker. Has to be careful. Sauna's going to pick him off. The rest of SSG drops a point, and Sauna is picking them apart right now. They have to try and make a play. Landon's going to lamp in. The lamp goes down. Sauna's pulse bomb. It wasn't a stick, but it kills Backbone anyway. And Sauna taking his revenge on the London core. Bench no longer. And causing them problems. Kitsune Rush available for Kaneo in this next fight. Happy to take a brawl with that one. SSG will be coming out top here. Oh, they're trying to bait it. They peeked out top to try and bait Sauna coming behind them. They tried to catch Sauna. So they look this way for a second, try and turn back on Sauna. And this time they're going to swing for real, though, so Sauna can come behind them. Sauna's coming now. Astro's got his eyes on him, so they've kept him safe for now. But Kitsune Rush in response. High noon from Sparker. He's so low, he'll get crushed. He gets absolutely crushed. The Annihilation was popped by Hadi as well. But they've killed his team, and they'll kill him next. They'll even make him wait for it as well. Gonna try and trade Kaneo. No doing, though. And a huge swing in the ult fight as well. Ataraxia on track. They want to go forward again, potentially, as well. Early pressure. It nearly cost him before, but Shockwave's popped it. He's killed Backbone again. Lamp not in time. They're forced into spawn. Shockwave is spawn camping them with Overclock. That'll buy more time for Ataraxia. One fight left for SSG. They have to win this one. And look at Shockwave and Sauna's angle. Wait, Shockwave's alone. They could TP onto Shockwave here. Need to be careful. He will be able to get out. They clear him one by one. Sauna's going to be lurking behind on this high ground, though. Or SSG's just going to go through point. Could TP top as well. TP to the stables. They will stabilize in the stables. And they go and clear Sauna. The pulse bomb's good, but the lamp is there. Sauna wants to follow up a kill beat to keep them going. It deals with the Annihilation. Later beat now from Gala. They're trying to push it back through. They're clearing Sauna as Hadi holds the front line. Now they've dealt with Sauna. They can try and walk forward. They want to force the point. A chance to come back here. Gala's got the boot on to Sparker. Spark needs a bit of help here. Astro's low as well. Sauna's causing him more problems. Hattie's tried to walk forward on point. Now a Kitsune Rush. Hattie needs help. Hattie needs so much help. They were dealing with Sauna. They killed Sauna but lost Hattie. Now trying to come in behind. Backbone's on one side. Spark on the other. Can they pincer him here? But no, Spark's going to get overrun. And the C9. The C9. I thought they had the touch. The fight looked difficult anyway. But it's going to be Ataraxia taking this one. Rajaro with play of the game. Sauna confirms for C9. Just this one where they had the clear annihilation advantage. Rajaro able to push through, kills everything. I realised the scoreboard is updated incorrectly as well, which is a bit of a shame, a bit of a problem. We will be moving on to Icon World next, as the lineups will be finalized for this. Now, as we go on to Icon World, one, I hope the scoreboard fixes itself. It pulls directly from FACEIT, so as long as FACEIT corrects itself, we should be okay. I'm going to get the next lobby in fight as we go to Icon World. Expect to see Psycho in this lobby, I think. And yeah, and there he is. Psycho is in, which means obviously Tracer on the cards and Symmetra off the cards. Hoping the scoreboard fixes itself, otherwise I might need to turn it off. Otherwise it might be quite confusing. But what a first round. On the Lucio mirror as well. Won a lot of his opening trades. Sauna getting insane value early on that village as well. A real problem for him. Obviously with Psycho coming back to the lineup here, we will see a great limitation for Sauna here. And there's now a person on the SSG side who now will more naturally mark him. And as Psycho tries to make his own plays as well, and that forces Sauna very much to deal with Psycho in a way he doesn't have to deal with the sim in quite the same way. Just going to try and refresh the scoreboard, because I would like it to work. I would like it to work, but it doesn't seem super cooperative. As we move on to Icon World, this is obviously the pick that Ataraxia did make, and clearly a map they feel comfortable with. Chose to go here instead of Midtown, interestingly enough. SSG now have to win both remaining maps to win the series. It's only best of 3. So big potential problems if they can't solve this one now. And this is, especially on these type of maps, where there's a lot of high ground, there's a lot of difficult points to take, where Ataraxia can set up a lot of good off angles, people on high ground, people on difficult places to clear. It's super important SSG have good solves to these problems. Because if they don't, they will just die to this. We will be going into Icon World now. And is it time? Is it time to sacrifice the scoreboard and fix it in post? It might just be that kind of time. It's interesting because FACEIT does say it's correct. FACEIT says it's correct on the website. So I would hope it would say it's correct here as well, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Ready for battle.
Oh! We've done it. By we, I mean FACEIT. But I'll take credit for it. And this is good news. It means we're going to have Ataraxia starting on defense. We're going to see Sauna play Torb initially as well. We've seen Ataraxia pull this pick out several times. They do it on Hollywood as well. Their first defense, Sauna gets himself on Torb. Gets himself all ready to Molten Core all over the point. Limited success, honestly, I think, from it. But clearly a point where they feel like the turret off angles are nice enough, and the Tracer... There's not as much space for the Tracer to play on second, but very much do expect Sauna to swap back to the Tracer once we get to second. And here we go, moving into it. The expected comp from SSG. Ramatra, Bap, Cass, Tracer, Lucio. Ilari to deal with an... Oh, boy. It's a quick respawn for Daniel Hathaway. A false start from SSG. They'll have to regroup and go again. Shockwave on the Ashe as well, so the damage is substantial. And actually, this is gonna spell a change to dive. We talked about this potentially being an option for SSG. Could they solve it with TP? Clearly not on first map. Could they solve it with dive instead? Spark will be staying the cast though. So now what Ataraxia need to do is they need to contract their formation. They don't want big splits between Gala and Kaneo. They need to peel for each other more often, and Rajaro catches Sparker on the way in. The problem with playing Cass in this is it can be a lot harder to take the Cass with you on these rotations and dives compared to a Sojourn. That's exactly what we see there. So Rajaro is going to make Spark's life a living hell, and we see Spark make that swap. But Hadi is able to get a trade, and this is crucial. Trades on the attack here on first point so useful because your spawners will be back faster, which means SSG are going to waste absolutely no time in going again. And there's no one to taxi. No one to taxi back from spawn, so it's a long walk from Kaneo, and this means Gala is extra vulnerable for a second. SSG going to jump through the initial choke. They want to try and poke out Rajaro. Rajaro goes aggressive, actually. They have to jump out here. Hadi's going to get caught on the exit, actually. They trade Shockwave in return, but they lose 2 for it. So again, the trade is helpful for SSG here. It's helpful. Because it'll be a long walk back. Long walk back for old Shockers. And look how quickly this Captive Sun has charged. A chance for Gala just to land this one. Kitsune Rush not quite available. Headshot on Spark as he comes flying in. Pressure onto him again. They've cleared the turret. Healing Pylon will go up. A chance to look for it now. Might just turn on Hadi. Kitsune Rush in return. Onto the right-hand side. Can they find the trigger? No, everyone's just dead before it happens. Gala was waiting, trying to find his opportunity, but nothing presented itself. SSG played it well, and Gala won't be able to get out now. Psycho finds the connect with the pulse bomb, and SSG have their opening. They are free first point. And now Dive is also quite strong on second here. Can exploit the high ground, and we're going to see Gala swap to Lucio. Sauna probably does want to go Tracer, but has that Molten Core, so we'll stick to it. We'll probably use this Molten Core defensively. Just throw it all over his backline and hope it keeps him safe. They want to go before point here, actually, or before the gates. And they've actually gone with Molten Core before the gates, but SSG, they're kind of just not there. Rajaro's going to try and hunt down a kill. They're all spread out, though, and Kaneo's been primal in the backline. They trade 1 for 1 here, but Hadi has decimated them in the back. Primal's such a hard ult for the double flex to deal with. And they'll clean everyone up on point. Remember, they didn't do it before the gates opened as well, so missed timing there. The trade onto Sparker, not too consequential with where the card is. And now SSG can go set themselves up onto the high ground. If they want. No, they're swapping back. They're swapping back. They're trying to stay ahead in the swap game here. They'll go to a bit of a halfway comp. Hadi going back to Ramarcha. They're playing underneath. They're forcing the point. Sauna made that Tracer swap as we expected. Rajaro tries to drop onto Spark. Still a chance to slow, but now Rajaro's on the low ground. SSG are going to take the high ground instead. They're coming out. Bob in the tunnel. It's a massive Bob. Astro has to beat. Annihilation behind. Spark's going to dive in. Pulse bomb as well. No lamp, but Spark gets focused down, and this Annihilation is going to do so much. So dangerous to come up that staircase. It was the biggest Bob you're likely to see in a while. And Landon and Astro actually still alive behind here. Astro going to try and get his boy out of this one. They TP to the low ground, but Shockwave is waiting for him. Oh, there's nowhere to go. Landon's going to die late too. And wow. Big Bob forces a beat out, and then the Annihilation to finish it. Rajaro chases him up the high ground, gets there fairly quickly. Again, they're still on the Kiri here. You'd expect them to probably want to go Bap Cass eventually, but they didn't have the opportunity. I mean, Spark could have swapped there, but chose not to. Slow onto the high ground. Pressure onto Shockwave as they try and get this car moving. But Rajaro is anchoring it at the corner. He has Sauna to help him, and Psycho has his recall force, and this will slow him down. They can Kitsune Rush onto Rajaro here to try and force it, but they're just trying to ease him out with their cooldowns now. Trying to keep themselves onto this high ground. Shockwave is watching everything. Pulse Bomb doesn't find a kill from Sauna. And now they can use this as a chance to walk, and Psycho wants to go high ground. Chance to go through Castle, actually. I think he's just going to try and... Yeah, he pokes out Kaneo. Bob comes through in response to this Kiri ult. Hadi will take a back step. Can they focus down Bob? They just TP it for now. Now Annihilation coming back. Rajaro's committed. He needs help. Gala needs to beat him, I think. Needs to beat him. They hold on to it. They use the window pocket. Good discipline from Gala there. They get him out with just the window. But he needs even more help. He needs so much help. Gala being so greedy with this beat, and Shockwave's got the pick. Rajaro would not die, and now Ataraxia have stabilized. They'll get all the cleanup kills here. And what a good beat hold, actually, from Gala. The window to pocket Rajaro through. They just couldn't find the kill. Generally, when you want to kill a Ram, you want to try and get people either side of him. And it felt like Psycho wasn't able to quite find that angle. So now a difficult fight. Landon will make the BAP swap now. Spark has overclock soon to start this fight. But they need to try and find a way to dislodge Shockwave. And the clock is very much against SSG now. Beat and Annihilation available. The Annihilation is the finisher here. Hard to take a straightforward brawl. And Rajaro's actually super close again. Is he too close? Psycho's behind him. They force him back. Rajaro has the Annihilation if he gets in trouble. But he will be sped out of that one. Meanwhile, Sauna's behind. He's forced for Lamp. And Hadi's going to die in the front. Oh, they have to beat. Astro can only beat 2 of his teammates, though. They're going to try and go top. Spark needs to hit the biggest overclock of his life. But a defensive beat from Garda stops Spark having any impact. It's going to be a desperate stagger fight back now. Spark has the high ground. Psycho is in. Can they make it work? Looking for the Baptiste here. Spark has railed. There we go. Sauna taken down. Kaneo will trade it, though. But Spark might have just done enough with a bit of help from Psycho. They'll clean up a point. They're on dive now. Hadi is on Doom. Spark will be coming back on this Sojourn. But look at the ult. Window and Bob just round the corner for Ataraxia. And what do they have here? It needs to be a big old clutch from SSG. They have to stay stuck to the payload as well. Rajaro's back on Diva just to make sure they can survive these punches. The rest of Ataraxia are going high ground as Rajaro anchors point. They can drop a window from this high ground here. A chance for Shockwave maybe to find a quick opening kill. We'll have the Bob for it as well. They try and bait out the Doom first. Hadi's in so much trouble. He punches. The window is there. Can Shockwave find everything? He drops the Bob. The Bob won't be on point, but Astro has died. They kill people on point. Dynamite's good from Shockwave, but the payload Ataraxia. Gala's trying to make money moves. He's got the kill onto Hadi. It's now just Landon and Psycho. Psycho 1v3. He needs so much help. The Pulse Bomb doesn't connect. He needed that to connect. The respawns will come through, and they get it to the end of second, but they will get it no further. Good kills from Shockwave there. I think ultimately SSG did a pretty good job considering they had no ults in this situation. With the window, there was just no way to flip their backline to the payload there. I think maybe when they were stuck underneath, if there was a way they could have come through this way, it might have been more viable for them. Just try and take the payload fight. But they managed to recover, and Ataraxia will hold on first. And puts them in quite a position to take this first map. Decisions now for what they start on here, SSG.
Ready for battle.
Will be Ramatra BAP Cass. Has to say it's better for first point. Does mean if they want to go dive, it's maybe, you know, a Sojourn, a Kiri, a Winston swap on second. It's a lot of swaps. They might just take the mirror. Well, not the mirror, the Ramatra mirror. Looks like they're very much treating this as an invitation to go double flex as well, Ataraxia. Won't hear them complaining about that one. A tough situation. SSG have limited room for error. They could do with getting time off the clock on this first point. They do have all of second to play with as well, so it's not a straightforward situation for Ataraxia as well, as Sauna will go for the grapple. Finds nothing. Looking for early spam. Goes for a delayed grapple, actually, but still finding nothing. No one falling for that one. And taking space sometimes when it's double flex can be difficult. They will get to come out this first choke. Shockwave's going to swing onto the high ground as Rajaro comes left. Slow onto Landon, but doesn't connect. Gala hits one shot as well. Shockwave's above. They don't know. Astro's trying to respond, but he's boot back, and Shockwave might find the kill. Astro gets back into Lamp. They have to Lamp. They're super split, but they've managed to survive. Spark is swinging aggressively here. Has to be careful, but Landon and Astro, they're taking care of Shockwave. They've shut him down. A clever play from Ataraxia, a clever flank. But Landon and Astro They get themselves out of that one, and now SSG can walk forward. The lamp is out of Kanail. Sauna is low. Kanail is low. They'll both fall. And a straightforward cleanup in the end, ultimately. Astro and Landon. Internationally elite. They get away with that one, but that one was scary. That one was scary. But we switched onto it next time, but the big thing they need to be aware of here is, do they know Gala has his captive son so quickly? They have window. SSG like to be aggressive with this, and with no speed, it's harder for Ataraxia to disengage. But they need to not have too many people on it, or his captive son could tear them apart. At the choke now, captive son will be used. It's going to hit everyone. Beat is there from Astro, though. They will be okay. They will be okay. They stabilize, but they've had to use that beat, which means they can't push with it. And now window coming up from Kanail. Rajaro's in quite aggressively, has to form. They'll turn back on him, but Sauna's behind. He's pounced on Spark. Opening pick. Now the Annihilation comes through. Hadi has his in response, but he's so low. The window's going to delete him. No chance to get value. SSG are forced back. They're forced out, and the point is going. There will be no more fights. 2 minutes is all SSG will get off the clock here. And now 4.5 minutes for Ataraxia. To just 2-0 SSG. People were surprised when they 2-0'd Ents. A bad draft cited as some of the main reason, but there was sloppy play in there from Ents. They struggled to deal with the double flex. Now they come in top. They run into the Bob. They're more ready for it this time. They take the back step. Sparker needs help. Rajaro's pushing with the Bob. He's done the damage, but he's going to die for it. Now a chance to push after this Bob, and Psycho is all over Shockwave. They'll trade for it. They'll be able to take the high ground. Sauna's still lurking behind, but nothing for him to do. Will double blink over roof. Psycho wants to go for the finish. Looking for it, but Sauna will survive on a single bar. Now a chance to keep the payload moving. High noon window coming up for SSG. Captive Sun coming up again for Gala. So last time, it was a big Captive Sun. It hit everyone, but Astro had the beat to match it. Astro doesn't quite have the beat yet, but a harder position to get the Captive Sun from. But it does mean Gala can take high ground with his Captive Sun if he wants. Slow and steady as Hadi drops to the point. Now they're going to try and rotate, but Spark catches Gala mid-flight. The rotation no good from Gala. Just trying to cross in front of Sparker, and Sparker doesn't miss those ones. Now they force for recall out of Sauna. They can chase him back. SSG don't need to rush anything here. They have the stabilization, but Shockwave out of nothing. Out of nothing, let's pick Landon. Rajaro and Sauna are going to move to try and force the payload, but Hadi's got a later form here. Rajaro is in trouble. They peek to try and help him. They've lost Psycho as well, so now Ataraxia can get it to last fight territory. And they have window, they have Captive Sun, they have so many big tools, but Astro does have the beat now. And they want to go top here, SSG, but they need to leave Psycho to mark point. They're going to send Sparker and Astro top. Captive Sun to try and deal with that one. They've lost Sauna on point. Gala. Lamp is perfect from Landon. Cross map keeps Spark alive for now. They've lost Astro, but the damage is done. What a lamp from Landon. Long Lamp Landon, they call him, all the way across the map. Gala is still behind, but Landon shuts him down as well. People always talk about Landon having the best bat. And it's because he hits crazy shots, but also he hits crazy lamps. And that one there keeps Sparker alive. A good hold in the end from SSG. They take care of both angles. They make sure they anchor point. And now they hold on to that beat as well. Gala has gone Lucio. We're into a Lucio Ram Mirror. Annihilation available for both teams. Beat advantage for SSG. But a window and Bob to deal with. Early window on the cross now from Landon. They do force the lamp out. Do they want to go for more? They will walk out. Window in response. Hadi has to D-peek. He has to form. He goes a slightly different way. And Sauna's behind him actually has to be careful. They have to lamp Hadi out. And now Ataraxia have space. Gala's going to make his way to point here. The rest of SSG are going top. Shockwave and Rajaro are still close in there. They have the Annihilation. Bob to come through. Astro has to beat it. They try and force it back. Rajaro has Annihilation if he gets in trouble. But Bob is helping force the point here. Psycho has a problem. Psycho has a problem as the rest of them go forward. Hadi is so deep. Should be able to kill Kanail here. They've dealt with that. And the Bob is now left. Psycho played it well. Kept the point contested just enough. And the Bob to force point doesn't work. 1 minute 15 seconds. 5 meters in it. Annihilation for both Rematras. Spark has for High Noon. Psycho has for Pulse Bomb. There is a beat advantage for Gala here, as we do get Kanail going on to Kiri as well. We saw an aggressive window last time from Landon. We'll see if they do the same with High Noon. And oh, they just kill Shockwave. Has to be a quick reset, I think. They're still trying to get their way underneath here, but Sauna's going to blink through. They've dealt with him. I don't think Ataraxia can commit more. They just need to play their lives right now. Make sure they get Rajaro out. Shockwave is back on Sojourn. Back on the high ground here. Hattie's still marking Castle. And again, Spark's looking for the cross. They want to make Shockwave's life hell. They won't let him cross. They won't let him cross. They're daring him to move. Spark's daring Shockwave to move. They won't let him go. He tries to slide. He gets through. He gets through. The point is being forced out by Kaneo and Sauna as well. Astro and Psycho respond. Annihilation from Rajaro. Astro is low on the edge of point, but they catch Kaneo. Now no source of healing as his beat comes through. Astro has died though, so no beat just yet. Psycho's trying to anchor point with Hattie. Landon's desperately trying to pocket everyone here, keep them all up. Rajaro comes in with one more form. Landon's going to lamp himself across here. The Pulse Bomb though, no more lamp. He will fall. They will trade Sauna for it. Overtime, High Noon comes out. Hattie's got 2. He's locked down point. Astro has beat soon as well. And SSG, they've done it. The hold is good. Victory beat from Astro. And SSG have pulled out a miraculous hold. A miraculous hold here. Rajaro with play of the game again. Let's see it. Oh, this is the one on first point here, and that's where Hattie, I think he tried to clutch with Annihilation, but Kaneo also had the window going in the back, so it ends up being a quick kill onto him. And Rajaro, we get to see all the cleanup kills here. So, 1-1. It's going to go all the way, which means it's going to go to Route 66. A close one. A close one. We thought it would be a good series, and we're being treated to it here. And sometimes when you see those clutch holds, it's a series of crazy plays from everyone. But ultimately, I think SSG just a lot of good holds, a lot of good decisions with how they were going to play in those defenses. A lot of good plays as well. Can't be misstated. But Psycho with some intelligent work to make sure point is locked, make sure he also gets the resources correctly from his backline to be able to hold on to that one there. So they managed the point correctly. And they still managed to get value out of Spark a lot on that high ground as well. And we're going to go to Route 66. An interesting one. This was obviously SSG's pick, remember. And a potential for them to go dive here. Route 66, a very strong dive map. The dive didn't feel great initially, to be fair, when we saw little bits of an icon world. We only saw it fleetingly, so we'll see what SSG decide to do here. But after a hold like that, I think momentum probably feels slightly more with SSG. I think they'll be really happy with that. They'll be really happy with how they played on that, especially on that second point defense. I think it was actually a really clean portion of Overwatch we saw. Ataraxia had their chances. They struggled on the rotation, as every team does on that icon world second attack. It's just difficult. It's just difficult. What's been true since Psycho has come in and the compositions have changed slightly? It certainly feels like Sauna is getting less value. I don't think it's just Psycho coming in. I think also we see Astro and Landon Spark as well. They're all spending a little bit more time. They're trying to bait a few of Sauna's engages as well. They're making his life a lot harder than it was on Nepal. Ataraxia could play the double flex here as well. I mean, they like to play it wherever they can. Taking their time here before joining. Wait and see what Ataraxia choose to run. Again, you think of Route 66. There's the high ground on first point above the gas station. There's the high ground on the second floor roof as well. Which means double flex can be really strong there. Because these are such difficult positions to dislodge. Might make dive more viable. Might make dive a lot more of a viable option for Route 66 for SSG. So we'll see if they choose that there. They did struggle a few times. We saw some kind of rough starts here. But the ults are really nice if you're on the dive competition. The Primal Rage, the Kiri ult, the Beat can all be very good ults for just dealing and overwhelming the double flex composition. It's probably true to say, because the word on the street is Ataraxia have been doing very well on scrims. But it's fair to say they probably spend a lot more time playing against other Rematra Lucio teams and have way more practice in that matchup than they do playing against dive. And they probably don't have much experience playing against dive for level of SSG. And initially, we're going to see It's dive out of spawn. Dive out of spawn for SSG. Coming for the defense here. Now, we talk about the powerful ults for the dive composition here, but it's imperative you actually get to those ults. If you don't manage to get to those ults, you have a real big problem until you get those ults going. Once you get the ults going, you can start to cycle them and use one in one fight. Then you'll have maybe Kiri ult in the first fight, Prime in the next fight. You can really make it difficult for them. But if they make any mistakes in sort of this area of the map, it could be devastating. Could be absolutely devastating and lead to a quick first point loss. We'll see what SSG choose to play. Right now, they're eyeing up D.Va, Kiri, Lucio. We're going to take a dive mirror with D.Va. Now, we've not seen all too much of this before. The big difference here is obviously the reason everyone plays Winston in dive is the bubble advantage. The bubble advantage is so big here. So even though the D.Va is quite happy to fight and chase a Winston around, the bubble can be a real big punish timing here. Trying to come through top here initially, but Sauna's recall will be forced. We'll see what their next move is, but just playing through point now. Rajaro going to get maybe not quite as high as he wanted on that one. They're just going to keep forcing point, and Shockwave's found the opening rail. Now Rajaro will jump top. Hadi's going to counter jump here, forces Rajaro onto the low ground. But they are a player down here. Rajaro looks for the boot, loses a lot of his health for it. But Shockwave's got another one. He's slid on up. He's got another pick. And SSG, they have to retreat. They can't afford to lose anyone else. Bubble to keep everyone alive here. Shockwave has full rail. Looking for it again. We've seen Ataraxia hold aggressively on Nepal. They did lose Shockwave for it once, but they're going to go for a more default hold on dive. Sauna and Gala forcing the point. Psycho's going to come out and touch. Hadi's going to jump back out, try and clear this high ground, but Rajaro wants to boop him in, punish him. Full Matrix. Trying to deny those heals. Shockwave misses this rail, though. Landon is low, though. Oh, doesn't quite get out, actually. Suzu keeps everyone else alive, and Hadi now, he's too low. He's so low. I don't think he's going to be able to get to Primal. Desperately trying to play in his bubble. He's getting peppered down. He's trying to hold it. SSG are stabilizing as best they can, but Hadi is so low. Sparker is still on the roof causing havoc. Hadi is so low still. Surely he can't get to Primal. He will fall, but Sparker might have done enough. Sparker is still on this high ground. Will anyone care, Sparker? Will anyone respond? Shockwave tries to be that guy, but the peel is there from SSG. Remake does not go through. And Sparker's done it. Sparker's done it. Big stabilization there, 2 minutes on the clock. And they use Kitsune Rush in that as well, so now support ult advantage for SSG, Primal advantage. Must be said as well, the Primal's a much better ult than the bomb. Rajaro will probably just have to use it to remake once he gets it. Could be an overclock to start here from Shockwave. He's been vicious so far on the attack. Found the opening pick for his teams early on. Needs more of that here. One rail onto Sparker. Chooses not to follow it up. They bait out the jump from Hadi. Now the beat push comes through. Can they get everyone out here? Later beat from Gala. Now after these beats fade, there's a chance for Shockwave to pull the trigger. He goes for Hadi. He forces for Primal. He's eyeing up Spark. One ray will do it. Rajaro will finish it. Now he has to deal with this Primal behind. He's being battered around. The Kiri ult from the high ground. Shockwave is still being chased. Suzu is good, but Kaneo gets punished for it. He saves Shockwave. Costs him his own life. And maybe that was the correct decision, because Shockwave is still cleaning up. It's just Psycho now, and there's no touch. First point will go through. It took him 3 minutes, but the damage was done.
60 seconds remaining. Good to see you.
Now, as we come into this next fight, all the ults used there at the end by Ataraxia. Pulse Bomb now available for Sauna. Shockwave's trying to come this left-hand side, but Astro will keep it marked for now. Still a long way for the payload to go, so they'll play through point first here, Ataraxia. No great ults to start with, so they'll happily play it slow. Likewise, it's quite awkward to start a fight with a Heinen or a Pulse in this situation, so we'll just see a Vine for point. They're just trying to all peek with Rajaro's Matrix here, and they'll clear Hadi for now. Rajaro's going to chase him onto the high ground a little bit. We'll be okay. And Ataraxia have got this point steadily moving. Spark might swing back with High Noon. Bubble comes in. Doesn't need for High Noon, though. Just pokes him out. They clear Hadi again. A game of cat and mouse as Kaneo gets ever closer to his Kitsune Rush. And this could be the key timing here. This could be the key timing. Trying to come through on this right-hand side. Hadi wants to try and meet him high ground. Rajaro is there. They force the bubble out. Rajaro can just clear in this bubble as well. Keep fighting him if he wants. Shockwave's jumped the other side. Chases out Psycho, but can't land the rail. The point's still moving, but Hadi wants to start the fight. Kaneo dies as he drops the Kitsune Rush, which means Shockwave dies as well. Hadi will regroup with his team. If they keep Spark alive, they'll be okay now. And the Kitsune Rush fails again. 2 Kitsune Rushes, both unsuccessful so far from Kaneo. And now, look at the ult bank for SSG. They are in control. They have all their ultimates. Overclock and Beat available here. Self-destruct 2, for what it's worth. Expect maybe to start with Overclock, try and force out his Kiri ult or Beat. If Ataraxia can get one of those ults out and live, they can then maybe even beat back, try and push. They have to weather a pretty big storm bow. And they want to come in this inside route. Hadi jumps with a bubble and Ataraxia avoid that one. You can see Sorda on the far right of our screen trying to get a flank going on. Does have it going now as the rest of Ataraxia peak. They want to clear Hadi. They're forced back in. Overclock to start. Kitsune Rush in response. Bubble at the choke. Gala's going to beat back. Beat back from Astro. Do they want to go inside? Hadi's considering it. He has Primal, but they're just all out, to be honest. We'll meet him at the choke. Rajaro has to be careful. And they will hold for now. They get both support ults out, which means Kaneo does have Kitsune Rush advantage soon. And Ataraxia are coming back out top. Sparks boop to the low ground. A chance to move. But now Hadi has his Primal behind. They are stuck in a cave with Hadi. And they have nowhere to go. It's a massive Primal for Hadi. It sets up the first kill. Juggles Gala back in. Turns his attention to Sauna. Sauna will save his own life. But the Primal, the ult advantage ends up paying dividends here. And now this is probably the big window. Kitsune Rush advantage for Ataraxia. Can they convert it? They've been trying to come through this door a lot of the time. It's not worked. Obviously with Kitsune Rush you can kind of take all of this space. But maybe they're going to change it up here. They want to go the other way. Hadi will be above them. Drops down on Bubble now. Pressure onto Kanale again as he Kitsune Rushes. It's a Kitsune Rush in an awkward place. SSG are going to kite this one away. They're going to flip the map to a point. Hadi is awfully low, needs a lot of pocket. This means Ataraxia can sweep, and now Ataraxia have the high ground. An expensive way to get the high ground, but get the high ground they do. And now Rajaro's putting more pressure on. He has Bomb if he gets into trouble. Gala is with him. They will top up Rajaro, and they're forcing point now. Sauna's got him pinned back. Gala's there. Gala might be too close. Heinun coming back round. Gala gets out. They all DP it for now. Rajaro's coming back in. Still has this bomb. Bomb on point. SSG can kite it away, and Sparks found a pick. Psycho's found a second. Pulse bomb on it. Overtime, Kitsune Rush to seal it from Landon. And 60 meters and 17 centimeters will be as far as Ataraxia go. And a struggle on second point here. A struggle on second point. They found themselves at an ult deficit, and they kind of stayed in an ult deficit for most of it. And a pretty winnable situation, you have to say, for SSG. But let's not forget, this map's pretty full holdable. Pretty full holdable. Decisions as well to be made for Ataraxia. Do they play the same comp on defense? Do they feel they can get away with double flex on the defense? Decision time for Ataraxia. They've put themselves in an okay position. Sauna's going to leave the game. I'm sure we'll get him back soon. Maybe a much-needed respite for both teams in what's been a pretty close series. Ataraxia did really struggle to solve that second point. Even the first point, a lot of the success they had was actually mainly through a lot of shockwave picks. They've had problems getting value out of Kitsune Rush. The ult trades haven't always gone their favor. To be fair to Ataraxia, they were also at ult disadvantage in most of those fights on second. The nice thing as well is, especially with this Primal, the Primal's a really tough ult for a Kiri Lucio to deal with, telling you to be chased around so much. If you can force for Suzu with your first dive or something, or a TP with your first dive and keep chasing with Primal, the Kiri's life gets really hard. Much harder than obviously a Kiri's life versus a self-destruct here. So if they can just find those fights, if Hadi can get in and trade backline with Psycho, probably tradable enough to capture some of these points. The inability to really affect Sparker's game as much, I think, has been a problem as well. It's maybe just the nature of D.Va, a bit hard to get on the backline as consistently as a Winston is. You know, doesn't have the bubble to stay there. Seeing if we can get a reason. Sauna is back. Sauna was lagging. Still 2.5 seconds for Ataraxia to assemble their heroes, and we'll see what they choose to play. Double flex not out of the question.
Ready for battle.
Dive is for choice. Anakiri is for choice. Interesting as well. So normally you would very much expect, if they're going to be running Anakiri, that you would see Gala on the Kiriko, because this is probably his best hero. But with Kaneo on the Kiri, I think what this means is they are planning to swap to Kiri Lucio. So maybe after this first point, we're going to see Gala go over to Lucio, and we'll get somewhat of a more similar matchup. Also worth noting, Rajaro is on Winston. So we'll see how he matches up against Hadi here. A much more experienced Winston. Hadi wasn't really punished a lot, I think, on their defense. We'll get into it here, and it's a close hold. Nade at the door. Catches the backline, so Astro and Landon will wait this one out for a sec. Want to get maximum time off the clock, maximum number of fights here. And Gala is already back on the high ground, so actually, Rajaro is just dead. Oh no. Oh no, it's a disaster, and they're going to have to concede all the space here. Hadi with the jump up, bubble up. Shockwave's awfully committed here. I presume he still has slide. There we go, he slides back now. Kaneo's going to be playing this off angle with Sauna, actually, as they come for the retake here. But SSG will take the free space in the meantime. Holding onto the high ground. Hadi with the jump. Bubble onto Shockwave. Magnetic Grenade hits as well. So Shockwave needs so much peel. It's not enough. They just get in with an old-fashioned dive. A Magnetic Grenade. The old-fashioned Magnetic Grenade. Winston dive. And now SSG get even more free meter push. Shockwave will be back soon. Gala nearly has this nano. Probably going the way of Rajaro. High Noon the closest ult for SSG. Can be used to slow down that nano push. Might just be a defensive one from Spark in the end here. Gala has that nano now. We can see where it goes. Expect it onto the Winston. Boop is good by Astro here. Pressure onto him. They go onto Spark. They bubble up. Spark's all alone. Everyone else has dropped off a high ground. Landon and Astro come flooding back. They disengage it successfully. But they have got themselves space on this second point. Kiri ult on point to deal with now. And Kaneo is stuck behind. Has to TP out here. They've conceded a lot of space. Rajaro will bubble on point, but the Kitsune Rush is still going. Nade only hits Hadi, so Hadi should be okay. They're still pocketing. Hadi's going to zone the backline now. This is SSG's chance to kill Rajaro. They pulse bomb him. Pulse bomb in response from Sauna. Shockwave finds the pick as well. Hadi's asleep. Kitsune ult. Hadi gets the primal off though. Can he kill Gala? Gala's going to slink away from him somehow. Hadi is still hunting him down. Gala's in big trouble. Will be traded. The Suzu was late, but that means Kaneo was TP'd into his death. But Hadi Primal does it in the end. They capture first point. They still have 4.5 minutes on the clock. And now Ataraxia. They've come so close, but now it feels so far away. A 4.5 minute hold required on second here. They're sticking the Ana for now. Astro nearly has beat. That can put the Anakiri in a very difficult position to survive. Rajaro will have this primal though, and they will have nano. They've got a lot of tools to deal with it. Shockwave's going to start with the overclock actually, but SSG have made themselves scarce. They've rotated behind them here, so both teams are going to flip the map on each other. Gala and Kaneo are going to reposition, but now the beat push coming. Are they going to go back to main here? What's SSG's next move? Yeah, they're coming back to main, but payload hasn't really moved at all yet. Want to try and get it to one fight territory before they commit SSG. Beat push comes through now. Defensive nano onto Shockwave. Defensive bubble from Rajaro. They're trying to keep them all alive. Rajaro needs so much help. Has to prop in this primal now. Wants to try and isolate someone on the flank. Can't though. Turns his attention to Landon. Gets his man. Will be able to chase him down. Might well get Astro as well. Astro will be back in spawn. They still need to clear Hadi and Spark off point, so it's not quite over for Ataraxia. Yeah, Psycho comes back in. They trade for Winston. Hadi wants to keep going. They do stabilize here, Ataraxia, but ends up being quite expensive, doesn't it? The Nano and the Primal. Now the Kiri ult going to be coming back up for Landon. Kaneo will have it to mirror, but Hadi will have this big Primal advantage. We saw Hadi seal the deal on first with a Primal. A chance for him to do the same here. Shockwave has rail on the high ground and the cart's move, so we are in is all to die for. And Sparker gets caught before the fight. It's a freebie. It's a freebie for Ataraxia at a time when they needed it the most. They'll trade back Hadi. Landon's on the high ground. They try and trade Gala. Suzu near defensive for him, and Landon cannot find the kill. A trade on the Ana would have been big there. Such a long walk back. But no doing. And now, Kiri ult's mirrored. Hattie still has this primal. So the ult situation fairly similar. Pulse Bomb's going to be in play as well. And a chance now. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock. 2 more tests for Ataraxia to try and hold. Nade out for gates, but nobody's there. Hattie's going to jump through. Pressure onto Shockwave. Rajaro will try and bubble him off. Now the primal to keep going. He's zoned a back magnetic grenade onto Sauna. They can't save Sauna. Again, Spark just finds a downtown magnetic grenade that connects. High noon to force point. Rajaro has to jump it. He's so low. He has to die. Knail TP's in. They Kiri ult back, but they get no value out of it. They cannot touch. And SSG seal the deal. GG's all around. And a good series. A good series. We'll get the player for game from Sparker. Let's see it. Let's see it. Give us something good, Spark. This on the defense here. Not too shabby. Another one, Spark. Another one. One more, Spark. There we go. Gets all the cleanup in the final fight there. Seals the deal in the game. And they'll have their victory. Space Station 2-1. They lose the first map. Eichenwald couldn't have been closer. That series was pretty close as well. Let me get some light on the go here. Sitting in the dark watching a good series, though. Sitting in the dark watching Overwatch. What a Saturday. GG's all round, I think. As much as SSG will be happy to obviously keep their unbeaten streak, I think Ataraxia can come away from that one with their heads held pretty high. Really back and forth series, honestly. Really back and forth. It'll be the Eichenwald, I think, that'll probably haunt Ataraxia the most. That was the one that really could have gone either way. That I really felt like they could have converted one of those attacks. We can take a look at the scoreboard now. If I can find. There we go. Let's take a look at map 1. So this was obviously the one. Maybe check out. Shockwave went 21-3. Kaneo went 12-1. It ended up being a very dominant map. 22-2 for Sauna. Obviously, felt like Sauna was getting a lot of value there. Shockwave did hit loads of clutches on Shrine as well, so no surprise to see him at a very positive KD. Landon stuck down at 2-6. Yeah, it really wasn't much of a pull from Space Station in the end. Felt like it got very chaotic when they didn't want it to. And it doesn't work out for him. Round 2 was Eichenwald. Let me see, hold on. Round 2 was Eichenwald. This was the one that was neck and neck, right? Absolutely neck and neck. And we see pretty respectable KDs from everyone across the board, honestly. No big changes there. And then as we get to Route 66, this was the neck and neck one, right? This was the neck and neck one. Landon on low eliminations deaths again. Big one from Sauna. Only 2 deaths, but only 8 kills as well. And I believe I'm going to be joined by a good friend of mine. Hello, Chris.
Morning, mate.
Not morning, but congratulations all the same.
Yeah, thank you.
How... I guess we should start at the top. Talk us through Nepal, because that was probably in the disaster category.
Yeah, I mean, I think we... like fucking hard through first map. Like we started every fight with a pick and then just like immediately got traded for no reason. And then I don't know, I need to actually watch the second one. It just felt like we were just like fucking perma dead like all over the place. But I guess that's cough maybe sometimes, you know.
Yeah, it felt like Sauna was actually causing big problems on that one especially.
Yeah.
And then just a little bit like a classic. Everyone's dealing with the Tracer, but maybe Hattie still walks forward and then it all just starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
So then, when we get to I'll go on.
No, you go, mate.
When we get to Eichenwald then, this was the one you expected to be able to get, or you expected this map to be picked, so you were prepared. Did you spend much time... I feel sometimes when I see, like, watch Ents play Ataraxia, it felt like they had no plans to solve some of the, like, double flex problems or stuff like that. They kind of just tried to wing it, and it didn't work. Did you spend a lot of time trying to think about, more specifically, how you're going to tackle these situations?
I mean, to be honest, not really. it's like this, like games like this are really really annoying because like the Dallas pool is totally different, right? So like maps like Nepal, Icon, we actually just like don't scrim like Route 66 a little bit, but we're like trying to cook something on there. So for us, like this entire like map pool, especially because like the maps that are overlap is Busan, which obviously you'd have to be a bad coach to draft, and stuff like that, and Hollywood too. So like yeah, it's like these FACEIT games. I mean, to be fair, like today, like even if we lost it, I don't think it makes like a massive deal in the grand scheme of things for either team. But yeah, it's like it's a little bit annoying to have to like play against, like, because I think this team's pretty good, to be honest with you. Like they beat Ents, like they seem to be doing pretty well in scrims and stuff from what everybody says. So like I think this isn't like an easy game, like against a good team with high confidence. So it's like a little bit awkward time to play them.
Well, especially like a team as well that has quite a unique style. Like I don't know how many,
exactly.
how many teams do you get to practice against double flex on? You know, I think like if you remember when like Toronto did it in, I guess lots of teams did it in the end, but Toronto at the end of season 6, how much of our time was spent trying to specifically solve if they do this flank, here's what we do, here's how we clear this area, then we do this.
Yeah.
But those are all like really map specific things.
No, I mean, yeah, I think that comp is like, I mean, this is what I've been saying for fucking years, like if you want to like beat the big boys, do exactly what they do. Like pick a comp which is unique and good for you and just make it work, So why this team has a real good chance of making World Cup, because I think that like the direction that they're choosing to go in terms of comp and stuff, it's actually correct. Like if this team was just playing like, I mean, even I suppose they did beat us. The map they won was on meta.
Even for Lucio Mirror, yeah. So.
But in theory. So yeah.
Were you happy? Because Eichenwald, it actually felt like you kind of clutched it, but maybe not in like a crazy clutch way, but actually like that second point defense actually felt just really classy. Like lots of like good fight wins rather than just like somebody needed to do something crazy.
Yeah, the defense is really, really tough for their comp, right? Like actually, like we all just like look from above and just shoot whoever we want to in the head. I think that like our attack was a little bit ropey, I think, but yeah, you actually always got a chance on Icon defense, especially when you play like these type of comps.
Then once you get to Route 66, are you actually quite happy now? You'd like, it's just a dive map now. We can really shift the type of matchup we're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like a really like difficult map to play that comp. Like you can't really see how Alari and stuff can flank, so we kind of like thought there's like I guess like a good chance that they don't play that comp there, or if they do, then it should actually be quite easy to beat. I think like even Icon first, when we weren't getting like a repeatedly headshot, actually that comp really really struggles. Like you just kind of like pressure one side and then eventually snowball through.
Yeah, I guess like were you surprised by their comp then? Because I don't think I've really seen like a Kiri Lucio Diva in a while, or an Anna Kiri this year so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they like specifically. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess one weakness that they need to figure out is what to do on maps where their like normal comp can't work, because obviously they're like normally quite an easy team to draft around, right? Like you can kind of like dodge the obvious like wide and slow maps quite easily. We were also kind of lucky we got first seed today, because if we get second seed, then maybe they can force like Junkertown, which to be honest, I think even Junkertown, like once you get past first, I don't think that comes that good on it, but yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, because of the way the map pool, like, because the way hybrid works, I think there's actually loads of decent maps for Ataraxia's comp, but so they don't need nap pick as much, because they can, any map, they can probably make it work, like Hollywood, Eichenwald doesn't feel too bad. Obviously Midtown will feel pretty good for them as well, but if they get to, like, pick the other ones as well and can send you to, like, weird places, because what's your choice? Like, they'll take, if you ban Junkertown, they'll take you to Rialto, and vice versa, probably.
Yeah, I mean, they're also really easy to prep for, because they always just ban the same 3 maps and pick the same maps, like, so actually, I'm not trying to roast Crimzo here, but actually, it's like, it's quite obvious to see what they want to play. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, like, I think they do things right, they just need a little bit more time to flesh it out, and I think this team can compete for sure. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think when I watched the Ents game back, there was like an element of Ents could have done better. Like, they didn't play that well. But also just Ataraxia, I think they do have a really good read for how their comp works, how they can pressure different sides, and like who's taking aggro and then who needs to peek in response and all of this,
Yeah. The DPS duo is actually pretty solid too. So
Yeah, I saw it felt a bit tamer in match chat today compared to some of previous games
match
as well.
one they were
Maybe
typing
Shockwave
like,
was
fucking,
yeah,
like
trying
him
to
and
heat it
Sona were
up.
barking, but then
no biting in response. No biting in response.
I mean, a lion doesn't care what the sheep are typing in match chat,
So remain unbeaten. You actually have another game today, right? Quick Esports, which should be
we have a scrim and then a quick esports game. So we have like a scrim official type of day today. It's actually
a 4-blocker.
Whoever on FACEIT, I mean, they didn't know what they were doing, but whoever on FACEIT defaulted all of the matches to like 6 instead of 7 actually made my life so fucking annoying because you have to reschedule and then it's like such a disaster to reschedule, so we have I think next week we have 4 fucking games and I'm trying to not lose any scrims to play them, so it's like I'm gonna have to do a mastering scheduling to make it work tomorrow.
We've got
next week
because what is it? It's Rockstars and Meta Boys next week, and then you've got the Twisted Minds game on delayed from this week next week as well.
I think we also have Ents at the end of the week too, because we had to move our.
You're moving it forward from the week because of Dallas.
Yeah, we're going to be traveling, so we don't want to play in ping. So yeah, I think we have a game next week. We got one tonight, and then we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's in the Premier League when it gets Christmas time and those players are it's us,
playing on Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, and then on the 28th again as well. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking insane. My players for sure are gonna get injured.
Jamie's gonna pull a hammy, and we're gonna have to get get one of the guys out of the academy to fill in.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Can you not just play the Ents game when you're in? Because you'll both be in Dallas, right?
I mean, yeah, but we have to play on EU servers because of FACEIT.
Oh, so you'd both be on ping.
Yeah, and actually we really don't want to.
Well, that's technically better for you, right? Because Landon would be on ping anyway, so it's like an equal. They no longer have an advantage of a player not on ping.
Yeah, I guess. But I kind of want to listen only focus on Dallas, hot take, but that's what I really
controversial.
And we'll see. I think there's a world in which these new age and Maivedon are gonna try to fuck us, They're gonna refuse to. I think because I'm pretty sure we're flying for one of them. So if they refuse to reschedule, I actually don't know if that's how it works. But if they do, then they're fucking scum. So
the way it used to work in TF2, which I think has had a very similar system to CS as well, is the default day is the default day, and if both teams don't agree, fuck you is the answer. We're playing the default date. So I think they can actually, all the lower teams, if they really want to screw the top teams and win some of those games, you should be thinking way less about the draft or the comps you play and more about how can you win the scheduling. If you can win the scheduling, you can put these teams in. That's how you beat the big boys.
So you should remind me tomorrow to fucking schedule everything. That should be my off-day treat, is to message every team and see which one of these guys are gonna try and fuck me hardest, Do
you think then...
Maybe I should take a day off next week and just play 6 officials in a row.
Just
Friday the 24th, I cancel the scrim we've got and we just have FACEIT Day and we just play every single game. Yeah.
You probably could, right? Because Twisted Minds are obviously on their time zones ahead, so they'd probably be pretty alright for an early-ish game, You could fit them all in.
I guess so.
Fit them all in.
Work.
What's your take then? Because I feel like everyone's very much expecting, you're going to qualify for top 8, right? I think Ataraxia probably safe as well, but there's only 3 spots once we get to top 8. So the expectation is probably you and Ents, but then Twisted Minds versus Ataraxia versus maybe even an R8 or something. Feels really wide open. That 3rd spot.
Yeah.
I guess it's possible there's more spots as well, right? Based on how Dallas goes.
Well, it's yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. If M80 and Toronto both do well, then maybe it is only 3. But I think as long as one of us or Ents can bring home some bacon, then maybe we get 4 spots for Europe, and then we'll be okay.
All right, one last one.
I'll go on. Started scrimming now, so
I was going to say you're going to start. So one last one. When do you fly out? When does it all kick off for you? In Dallas?
29th.
29th. Isn't that right before the tournament?
Oh yeah.
Wednesday. Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, just checking because never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And the good news is the Korean teams with all their fucking oil money get to fly like 2 weeks earlier. So and Japan money. So these fuckers are gonna have no jet lag. And those poor European folk are
You're actually gonna be more
roll
jet lagged than they are. Yeah.
Because remember Spark lives in like fucking Kumlo, Sweden, like the most like disgusting
North,
place in the world.
Like, yeah, just redneck.
So he's got like a 22-hour fucking flight. Like no, like
is
a travel
he going
day.
via Japan?
No, because because he has to like change like 17 airplanes.
He's gonna get lost. He's gonna forget his keyboard. He's gonna forget his mouse mat or something, and
And he's got like 24 hours to recover from that before he's on stage against like the students of the game. So, I mean, that's the way it goes, you know.
I guess it is the way it goes. It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
All right, I'll let you go, Scrim. Good luck in your next match as well. Congratulations, all of that.
All right, thank you, mate. See you later.
In a bit. Nice of Chris to stop in there. Nice of Chris to stop in. And yeah, SSG come out on top. Was a dogfight. I think, to be fair, like, grand scheme of things, we're probably really looking at... both these teams will get to top 8, but it certainly seems like Ataraxia really competing for that 3rd spot. They beat an Ents, they pushed SSG all the way. A team that are forcing themselves to be taken very seriously and are only going to get better and better, presumably, over time. So, I think that would do it for the coverage here. I don't think I picked a player of the match yet. Player of the match may be a tough one. Let me think, because it was a really back and forth series. Was it maybe just Sparker? I feel like when Sparker was on, he made a couple of crucial picks. Some nice plays as well on the cast. Struggled a little bit more. The Sojourn play on Iconwold on the attack was actually super helpful for him as well. I think everyone else, there were lots of other good performances. I thought Shockwave actually had a really good game. I think Sauna had a really good Nepal, but then once Psycho came in and the Tracer Mirror, it was much more even. So maybe faded a little bit there in terms of impact as they went through. So I think maybe it's just sort of, it's a very basic answer, but maybe it is just Sparker. I think, to be fair, Hadi actually had a pretty good series across the board as well. Maybe a few ropey moments and mess on Nepal. The whole team, to be fair, SSG all kind of had a bad performance on Nepal. It was really messy. So maybe either Hadi or Sparker for me, but I think, yeah, pretty good performance overall. I think Rajaro had a decent performance given the caliber of team. That's someone we talked about a lot before the game. But I think ultimately, especially when it's got to Route 66, maybe Hero Pool exposed a little bit. Winston was super hard. Likewise, the D.Va was a struggle. And it might have just been more of a problem with D.Va than anything Rajaro was doing specifically. But yeah, a good game overall. Thank you for joining it.